Alright, hello people of Earth. This is basically an attempt to form a project where people get together and try to come up with solutions for energy independence. Finding solutions for cheap, clean, efficient energy. I'm sure if you're looking at this video, you've noticed that, especially now in the days of the internet, that there's been a lot of people that have come up with solutions or appear to have come up with solutions, and you don't hear about them anymore. Such as Paul Pantone, not my favorite, but why can't I remember the guy's name? I've got a freaking plan over here. Stan Meyer. Stan Meyer built a hydrogen and oxygen separating system from water that he claimed could do about 20 times the amount of work that was predicted by Faraday. I know that there's a lot of people out on the internet right now that are showing results and claiming they're getting about 3 to 4 times what Michael Faraday predicted. I'm not a physicist. I have a high school education. But one thing I have noticed is that it appears that once people try to monetize their inventions for cheap, clean, efficient energy, that's where they get in trouble. That's why I'm so excited about the days of the internet, where there's so many people communicating. It just creates pretty much an unstoppable force to where people can work together and come up with these solutions more of a grassroots-based situation. Because from what I've seen, everybody that's ever tried to monetize their invention has failed miserably. Either they sold the patent, or their invention was suppressed, or whatever, or it was a failure and it didn't actually do what it was claimed to do. So basically, a few of the things that I've tried to work on, I don't have a lot of money at this moment, but maybe we can all get together and help each other. That's the idea. I don't think this is going to happen by somebody inventing something, putting it out on the market. The same thing is going to happen to that guy that's happened to everybody else in the past. So we're all going to have to do our part to get this done together. I don't think it's going to be something that can be sold. It's going to have to be something built individually by people until it's so big it's just ridiculous to try to suppress. There's several ideas out there. Some of them that I am working on is, I made a copy of Stan Meyer. This is my rendition, rather, of Stan Meyer's hydrogen oxygen separator. I don't know how well you guys can see that. I'll probably put it up on the tube if I have good response from this video. The electronics are on the next page. They're actually an alteration of the electronics. I'll give credit where credit is due when I put that up. Anyway, that to me seems to have promise. There's a lot of stuff out on the internet that say that Stan Meyer is a fraud, whatnot. If you do want to check out his work, I definitely recommend downloading every single lecture you can find on any torrent website, as long as it's not a copyrighted video or something. And just listen to him, see if he's telling the truth. I'm not a physicist. It took me several times of listening to his lectures to actually understand what's really going on. Being that I'm not a physicist, I don't understand certain claims that he has, such as whether or not voltage can and is known to do considerable amount of work, whether or not the position of electrons in their orbit can be helpful to the design of his cell, where he claims that you get into the vibrational frequency of the cell as a whole, including the water in it and the pipes that are in the cell. If that wasn't the case, he wouldn't be tuning the pipes. You know, he's got little notches on them so that their frequencies match, the inside and the outside pipe frequencies match. So there's obviously something going on there, but his claim is essentially you get into the resonant frequency of water, and the position of the electrons once they're on one side of, closer to a negative charge, it will attract, and over here the other molecule, like the hydrogen's over here, the oxygen's over here, and the electrons over here on the oxygen side get attracted this way, and over on the hydrogen side get attracted this way when they're in the right positions and the voltages is set in the right timing. That's essentially what he's saying. I don't have enough expertise in physics to know for sure if that's legitimate. That's why I'm trying to put this community together, this project together. Another thing that I've seen is it appears that a lot of the people you see on the internet that are advertising that they've made a motor that can produce more energy than it takes to run it, seem to be running off of a certain concept of switching on and off their electromagnets that attract the motor, and then at the same time they're always collecting energy. What I've come up with is a little simple thing. I don't have it put together right now, but you can do it at home. That's another reason why I did this. It's really simple. It's simply, I took a hard drive apart because they've got a nice bearing in them, and put a CD on it and attached magnets to the edges, and then I took an electromagnet. They're really easy to make for anybody. There we go. For anybody that doesn't know how to make an electromagnet, basically all you need is, it can be as simple as one single nail and some copper wire wrapped hundreds and even thousands of times. If you don't have access to magnet wire, it's a lot better. You really should get some actual magnet wire because it's really thin. It's got a really thin coating, so you can wrap it more times because there's a direct relation to how many times it's wrapped as to how powerful the magnet is. If you can't buy some, you can always take apart electronics and find them in motors and inside the armature of a motor, transformers, radio tuners, several other things, and you can make your own electromagnets just like I've done here. So for anybody who doesn't understand how this stuff works, basically I've hooked up this electromagnet to a voltmeter. Basically what happens is, I'm bad at this, you pass a regular magnet past this coil and it produces electricity. I'll show you that happens with the meter right here, if I can get it focused. Alright, anyway, if you can see that needle moving there, it's because I'm moving the magnet past there. That proves that the thing's producing electricity. So also what is done is you can get one of these. As this doesn't have to be your design, but this is one way to make it simple, but I found problems with this type of design. What this is it's a magnetic sensor. It's either always on or always off. In the situation of the always on magnetic sensor, as soon as a magnet comes past it, then it switches off. As soon as the magnet goes away, then it switches back on. So that can be hooked up in conjunction with the electromagnet, essentially putting it in the right position next to these magnets that I've put on the edge of the CD, and cause it to switch off. And then when it gets far enough away, and then the electromagnet that's actually causing the motor to propel will get switched back on when it gets a little bit closer. Say the electromagnet's right here, and it switched off as it got past here, and then it gets switched back on because this magnet over here is far enough away from the sensor. Oh, sorry. And then it gets switched back on just as it's about to, so that it can attract the next magnet. And then it gets switched off again, and then back on to attract the next magnet. It works really well as a motor. Unfortunately, I've got to the point where it appears that the mechanism can't switch on and off fast enough, and so it gets to a maximum speed, and then it just doesn't seem to get going any faster. I know that some of the people that have tried to commercially develop these motors have used microprocessors and several switches and several electromagnets to speed the process, to get the motor going really fast. Now, the reason that I think this may actually work is because I don't know the exact numbers, but I do know that magnets, for instance, actually decrease in their magnetism over a given amount of time. Like I said, I don't know the exact numbers, so let's just say, for instance, that this magnet decreases at a rate of 1% per year. However, when it's under a load, when there's other magnets or other metallics around it causing those forces of attraction and repulsion, they actually reduce at a faster rate. So what that tells me is energy is being used. So it is actually possible, and hypothetically, for the motor to produce more electricity than it takes, because you're actually by putting those magnets under a load, they're actually depleting faster, and there's your energy source. You're actually harnessing the power of the magnet into electricity. I'm up for suggestions from anybody else for any other ideas besides these two, the hydrogen and the electric motor. I've pretty much given up on what's called fixed magnet motors, like the Penderev motor. People say that you get some, just one moment. People claim that you get some magnetic shielding and you put it on one side of the magnet, and then you put another magnet, well, let's just say my finger's a magnet. There we go. Put another magnet in the way, and then it has more force on the attracting or the repulsing than on vice versa. So if the shielding is on one side, then it attracts more than it repels. And they're claiming that this is the key to the Penderev motor. I've experimented a lot with this. I keep looking at the screen instead of the camera. I've experimented a lot with this, and I have had absolutely no luck. You can keep these types of things moving for a little while, but it doesn't seem to continue to move. If anybody's got the solution to this, I would appreciate it. I just don't want anybody writing saying you have to do it this way or this way unless you've actually done it. We need to prove these things. That's what's so great about science. It's a factual situation. If you're just saying, well, if you do it this way, it'll work, that's not science. You've got to prove that it works. So please don't write any ideas and say it will work unless you've actually done it. I'm open for suggestions. You can say, why don't you try this, or why don't you try that, but please don't write saying the reason that it's not working is because you need to do this, unless you've actually done it and you know that it works. That's all for now. Hopefully I get good response from this, and people can get together and start making some electricity for themselves. Thank you.